The main challenge is time. We're racing against it. You don't know what's going to happen in the next 5, 10, 15 years, and we really need to get those species in before they become extinct.
The Millennium Seed Bank is the seed bank of the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew. We are the hub of a global conservation network, collecting and conserving seeds of wild plant species. We have already banked about 15% of the world's bankable flora. We aim by 2020 to collect 25% of the world's flora, which would be 75,000 plant species. It's the biggest conservation project on Earth. The Millennium Seed Bank works with 150 partners worldwide. Each country defines their own priorities for collection. Generally, these tend to be the 3 E species, the economically important, the endangered, and endemic species. Endemic, these are those species who occur only in that particular region or area. Unfortunately, many plant species are threatened worldwide. Kew Gardens did a study about 3 years ago and found out that about 20% of all plant species are threatened with extinction within the next 30 or so years.
Our partnerships in Africa are also geared up towards making sure we breed the next generation of agriculturalists, of botanists, of taxonomists. And Kew is playing a major role in this capacity building, making sure that we're working closely with our partners to spot their gaps, to fill those gaps. We've launched our new MSc program. We have a number of African colleagues coming over to join us for that MSc program. The Millennium Seed Bank partnership, at the heart of the partnership, not just about seed collecting, but to make sure that our institutions, our partner institutions, have this capacity to help them get on and do the job. That's what's going to make it sustainable.
Every week, almost every day, it's our birthday because we receive parcels from our collecting teams across the world. I find it always very interesting just to see from where those seeds arrive. So this is just a random selection of crates here in the dry room. So here, for example, this is from the Republic of South Africa, a batch from Italy. We have Chile here, the Philippines, further down, South Africa again. They arrive with courier service. They are then unpacked and checked. We measure the initial moisture content of the seed, and then they go into the dry room. The seeds stay in this room for a few weeks or months, and that's the best way of slowly drying them to about 6 to 8% absolute moisture content, which is the ideal condition in our experience of then freezing them for long-term storage. Kew's Millennium Seed Bank is not just a repository of seeds, it's an active seed bank where we actively research our seed accessions, and wherever possible we make those seeds available to researchers for example, use in forestry, in agriculture, for future crop breeding, or to plant those seeds back into the landscape.
We make sure that we secure seed collections in seed banks, not just in Wakehurst Place here at Kew, but also in those seed banks in our African partner countries. Lots of tree species are threatened across Africa, and that's because of the forest loss that we've been facing over the past 50, 100 years. But also now we're looking very carefully at those relatives of our crop species, a lot of the grasses, a lot of the beans that people get a lot of nutrition from, and across Africa we need to make sure that we're conserving those wild relatives from their wild populations.
Crop wild relatives are the wild cousins of our crop groups. They're found in their natural habitats, and they contain a genetic diversity that we don't find in the crops that we can cultivate today. They haven't gone through the bottleneck breeding procedure, so they contain all the wild genetic traits that we might need now and in the future to produce new varieties to tackle against climate change. 80% of our calorie intake comes from just 12 main species. 50% of that calorie intake comes from just 3 species, wheat, maize and rice. If we lose one of those species, we need to be able to produce something else. We need the diversity of crops to have that insurance to be able to produce new varieties in areas where climate change is really affecting the current agricultural production systems. This is really crucial to tackling food security now and in the future.
Bee colony is a well-oiled honey machine. Every bee has a job to do, but the most important role is the queen's. The queen bee is the mother of every bee in the hive. Her pheromones control the behaviour of the colony, and she is responsible for keeping the colony well stocked with baby bees. But how is a queen bee born, and how does she live her life? A queen bee is easily spotted thanks to her large abdomen and the loyal attendant bees she will have with her. Her purpose in life is simple: mate and lay eggs. Lots of eggs. 6 days after a queen is born, she will leave her hive to mate with male bees from other colonies. Male bees are called drones, and their only purpose in life is to seek out a queen from another colony to mate with. Unfortunately, if they're successful in finding her, they will die in the act. After mating with 10 to 15 bees, the queen returns to the hive to spend the remaining 2 to 7 years of her life laying eggs. She will lay 1,500 eggs a day and around 200,000 eggs a year. The queen wants for nothing in the hive, being fed and cleaned by her royal attendants. She controls her court through releasing unique pheromones which can stimulate or inhibit her colony's behaviour. She can instigate pollen gathering, attract drones, and inhibit worker bees from reproducing, all through the power of smell. Eggs are laid directly into the honeycomb cells, and the queen can choose which gender each egg will be. Drones come from unfertilized eggs, while fertilized eggs produce essential female worker bees. In just a day or two, these eggs grow into larvae. Fed and nursed by the rest of the colony, larvae grow quickly before wrapping themselves into a cocoon for a week, and emerging from their cells as fully grown bees. Any fertilized egg has the potential to develop into a queen bee, but this transformation is carefully managed by the colony and only begins if the queen is failing. Once the queen does lay all her eggs, or if she becomes injured or sick, the colony will know to ready themselves to replace her by building queen cells. These large, peanut-shaped honeycomb cells are suited for royalty. Once eggs are laid in the cells, the larvae are fed a special combination of nutrients and royal jelly produced by the current queen to spark the transformation into a queen bee. Worker bees will take 16 days to fully develop, but the queen only takes 12. If the queen dies before a successor can be named, the colony will rush to transform worker bee larvae into a queen. Sometimes a worker bee can take it upon herself to start laying eggs, but these will all be unfertilized males. Once a new virgin queen emerges, she moves quickly to eliminate any royal competition by stinging and killing other developing or hatched queens. If the old queen is still alive when her successor hatches, she will often exile herself from the hive, taking a dramatic swarm of workers with her and potentially developing a new colony. The new virgin queen then repeats her mother's legacy and sets off to find mates and lay eggs. A matriarch with a mission, the relationship between a queen bee and her colony is the driving force.
Butterflies. They are some of the most magical insects you can see in the environment. Their wings look like beautiful artworks, and they come in all the colours of the rainbow. But did you know that the beautiful butterflies you see actually used to be caterpillars? Now you might be wondering, how did they change from a tiny, wriggly, worm-looking insect to a stunning butterfly? Well, you're about to find out. The life cycle of a butterfly has 4 stages. It all begins when a female butterfly lays her eggs. Inside these eggs, caterpillars begin to grow. Once an egg is ready, it hatches and out comes a larva, also known as a caterpillar. The caterpillar leaves its egg behind, finds a leaf, and starts eating and eating and eating. You might have seen a caterpillar in a garden munching away. As a caterpillar grows, its skin becomes too tight for its growing body. The caterpillar sheds this old skin because underneath there is a new, bigger skin, which is much more comfortable. This process of shedding skin is called molting. Now it's time for the caterpillar to begin changing into a pupa. The pupa stage is pretty uneventful, because all they really do is hang upside down in a cocoon. A cocoon is also called a chrysalis. The pupa needs to stay really still, so predators don't spot it wriggling around and eat it for dinner. This is the stage where the caterpillar begins to grow its wings. The last stage is when the adult butterfly breaks free. It slowly comes out of its cocoon and spreads its beautiful wings, getting ready to take flight. Once it's ready, it will fly off and eventually lay its own eggs, starting the cycle all over again. As you can see, the caterpillar goes through a number of changes before it reaches the final stage of being a butterfly. This spectacular physical transformation is called metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is said to have occurred when an animal transforms from its young form into its adult form. The frog also goes through metamorphosis. It transforms from an egg to a tadpole, then slowly grows arms and legs, and transforms into an adult frog. Can you think of any other animals or insects that go through special stages to grow into an adult? What about you? Have you gone through some physical changes since you were born?